Passion is something you're obsessed with. So for me, I have three. I am obsessed with fitness. I am obsessed with personal development, in case you couldn't tell. And I'm obsessed with business. And that's my passion. My purpose is to help people with fitness, personal development, and business. And my profit is a byproduct of taking my passion and doing my purpose. And so that's what I do through the vehicles of coaching, training, and podcasting. Coaching is one-to-one, training is one-to-several, podcasting is one-to-scale. Those are the vehicles where I deploy my passion into purpose and to profit.
Success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. And today's guest knows exactly what it means to chase achievement only to realize that something is missing. In this episode, we're unpacking how to build a purpose-driven business, create systems for peak performance, and master the habits that lead to real fulfillment. Let's level up. This is Alan on the Curious Tycoon Podcast. Hi, Alan. You're welcome to the podcast today. How are you doing?
Thank you so much for having me. I am doing very well, and I do not take it lightly to be here. The 21st century is very noisy. There's a lot of stuff out there. We're all drowning in information and sometimes starving for wisdom and really tactful, tangible takeaways. So I'm not going to waste a second of anyone's time. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, so born and raised in Massachusetts in the United States, and I am still in Massachusetts, and it is a wonderful place to live, but also extremely, extremely expensive.
Yeah, great. Obvious. America is one of those places, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. It depends where, but yeah.
Well, there's all sorts of things there. I haven't been there myself, but hopefully I'll visit you guys sometime very, very soon. Alan, today's topic is interesting. We're talking about going from breakdown, which is really your story. You went from a near-death experience to building a top 100 global podcast and a 7-figure business. What was the first internal shift you had to make to start climbing back up?
Yeah, so to provide context, that when I was 2 years old, my birth father passed away in a car when he was 28. So when I was 26, I got in my own car accident, my fault, head-on collision, crossed the double yellows, not good. Fortunately, everyone survived, but it was definitely not a fender bender. It was a bad accident. And that was sort of my quarter-life crisis, where it was sort of the second chance my dad never got. And so the internal shift for me is I shifted from an achievement orientation to, well, here's what I would share. My old paradigm is a fancy word for what you believe the purpose of life is. And usually we adopt one from when we grow up. So my paradigm prior to 26 years old, I'm 36 now, this is 10 years ago. My paradigm growing up was achievement first, friends second, and fun third. So naturally, I had a ton of friends, I achieved a lot, and I was a lot of fun. I partied.
Yeah.
After my car accident, my internal paradigm shift switched into growth and contribution and reaching my true potential. It really was growth, contribution, and a principle-centered, what's known as a principle-centered paradigm. If you've ever read the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, he talks about all the different paradigms. Some people, work is their paradigm. Some people, relationship is their paradigm. Some people, church is their paradigm, that kind of stuff. My paradigm is principles and reaching my true potential, growth, and contribution. And so 10 years ago, that I often say it this way, the best way to articulate it, I think, Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, has this quote, whether you like him or dislike him, the quote's really good, which is, some people have a job, some people have a career, some people have a calling. And I found my calling at 26. And I believe my calling, it's written right over here, to reach my own unique potential, unique is underlined, and help others do the same. Everything else is secondary.
That's awesome. Thanks for breaking the ice for us there with that incredible story. I was going to ask there, what's going on there with the accidents, your dad and then yourself. If it was from where I come from, some people will say it's family, it's your family people that have done something to you. But we're not going to go into that. Well, thank God that you're here with us, and thank God that you're making great impact today. And I think that's very, very important.
Thank
You,
you.
you, yeah, you call your approach holistic self-improvement. What was missing in mainstream self-help world that you knew you had to feel?
Yeah. So 10 years ago, I got really into fitness. I was a fitness coach, fitness competitor, fitness model, actually. I did 43 photo shoots, fitness shoots, and I did a bunch of competitions. I have the trophies actually behind me. And that was in my 20s, my late 20s. From 26 to basically 30, I was big into fitness, and I still am. But not competing. And I realized I was super immersed. For the last 10 years, I've been really immersed in the personal development space, which is the self-help. It's known as personal development, self-improvement, self-help, personal growth, that space, right? I call it personal development. Boom, personal development. That's number one. Number two is fitness. And then number three is business. And I have come to understand that those three worlds have not merged almost at all. I went to a personal development event with a man named Brendan Burchard. It was one of his events. And I was in the fitness industry. There's some personal development in fitness, but there's not a lot of fitness in personal development. And there's some business in personal development, but there's not a lot of personal development in business. And so I realized I'm going to try to bridge fitness, personal development, and business, because to me, if you want to build the best business, you need to build the best self. And if you want to build the best self, you better be into fitness. And so I live and breathe that every single day. My girlfriend and I, future wife and I, 181 days straight of consistent exercise now. And fitness is the anchor, and then personal development, and then business. And so I just started a podcast called Business Growth University, but I waited to do that because I feel like business should be the third thing. And you got to build the self first. And that starts with fitness and personal development, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I do agree with you there. That makes a lot of sense, I think, because it really starts from what we have inside of us. And yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And you need to look good as well to be able to present things to people, I believe. But you talked about let's talk a little bit, just remaining on your personal sort of journey as well as a person. Was there a rock bottom moment, where you told yourself, okay, it's time to go all in? Can you walk us through it?
There's a lot of them, but there's one that jumps off the page, which is the car accident. So we often joke and say you'll never get to F yes until you're at F no. And after my car accident, I realized I'm never going to go back. I was born and raised in a small town. I'm now courageous enough to say a small-minded town. And the people I grew up around were, in my opinion, not fulfilled human beings. I remember thinking as a kid, people would come to me and they'd say, these are the best years of your life. You think I look young now? Imagine me in high school, right?
Yeah.
Terrible. And they would say, these are the best years of your life. And I remember thinking, I seriously hope not. Because high school sucked. I hated high school. I got straight A's and I did well academically, but I was a loser, right? So I remember thinking, no, high school was the best years of your life. So I remember seeing couples, married couples. I said to myself, you don't even like each other, never mind love each other. And everybody's waiting for Friday. Everybody loves to party. No one likes their careers or their job. And I remember thinking, there's got to be more than this. There's got to be more than this. This looks terrible to me. If this is what life is about, no. And so I started to become this sort of existential free thinker, so to speak, and I started to contemplate my future. And I always said my career wouldn't even start till I was 50, so I was a really long-term weirdo. And I had all these different dreams and goals. And the one thing that changed for me is when I think all human beings are playing to win or playing not to lose. Most people are playing not to lose. They're playing not to lose perception, or they're playing not to lose status, or they're playing not to lose friends, or they're playing not to lose family. And after the car accident, I started playing to win instead of playing not to lose.
Yes. Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, being a football fan myself, I understand 100% what you mean by that. By the way, I'm not talking about soccer. I'm talking about football.
But you're talking about American football.
No, sorry, I'm not talking about American football. I'm talking about
Soccer.
yeah.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Well, I don't know. I have no idea why you guys call it soccer, but whatever.
Nobody, listen, the US just decided to somehow create its own thing for everything, and everyone has to deal with it because we're the largest economy. I'm so sorry, everybody. I
Yeah,
had nothing to do with it.
yeah. I understand what you mean there by playing to win and playing to lose. Yeah, I think it's a mindset thing. And it's true, you're right. Most people actually play not to lose in life rather than play to win. So and it
It
influences
takes tremendous courage to play to win because you will lose. Like, I lost a lot of friends. I've lost a lot of relationships. I've lost a lot of credibility. I went from a top earning engineer, master's in business, to starting my own company and being broke. Like, you're going to lose status. You're going to lose money. You're going to lose friends. You're going to lose family. The only way to really play to win is to be willing to lose, no matter what way you slice it. And I think that the mortality moment I had after that car accident really broke me free of my fears of losing people.
Yeah, just going straight into our next question there that I was gonna ask you. Just cut that off, my mind there. So you went from tech and engineering into coaching and media. You talked a bit there about the job that you had. What was the hardest skill or mindset shift that you had to adopt as an entrepreneur?
The hardest skill in entrepreneurship is leadership, by far. I think it's the hardest skill on planet Earth, quite frankly. Because I'll never forget this. I had a friend from college, and I'll keep it anonymous, but he lived in the apartment below me. We were in the same dorm. My dorm room was here, his was right here, right next to each other. And then we lived in the same apartment, and he lived below me. And we partied and we had fun and we knew each other and we took similar courses. He was a computer engineer as well. Very bright, very bright. And when I was 31 or 32, we host events every year called Next Level Live. And we started them out in person. We used to partner with people. Now we do them ourselves, but it's been 8 years straight of live events every year. And now we do fully virtual. And we did one in March. But my friend from college, keeping it anonymous, came to one of the events live. And it was so cool to see him because I hadn't seen him since college, right? So it had been basically a decade. And I started coaching him after that. And he was starting a company. So he worked for pharmaceutical companies that were really big. And he was an engineer. And he created a software, and I'm not sure if he's still doing this or not, where he could link people up with clinical trials. Because the amount of money that it costs to do an effective clinical trial to get drugs passed by the FDA in our country, in the US, is it's very, very expensive. A lot of red tape. And so he created this app that works really well, blah, blah, blah. And I was his coach. And he was going to big conferences in Boston to try to pitch his idea for investment. He wanted venture capital and investors. And we've had investors approach us in our company, and me and my business partner founded it and decided to do our own bootstrapping of our own company. No one's hands in our cookie jar. That's what I say. But anyways, so I was coaching him on how to pitch his ideas. And I had this really visceral moment. This was really hard for me. And this is answering your question about how I went from tech to media. This person, I want to just give a Sue name. We'll call him John. This person, John, was not a strong communicator. There's 4 modalities of communication. I'm gonna give them really quickly. There's 4 modalities of thinking. And thinking is how we communicate with ourselves. So the first one is the rarest. It's mathematics, numbers, rationality, logic. That's the rarest by far. I am a math thinker. Everything is numbers for me. That's the rarest, and that's the one this is why engineers have low self-worth and nobody likes us. I'm joking, but okay. Number 2 is words, conversations, and concepts. So when I say dog, you think of a certain thing. Words, conversations, and concepts. That's most people. The majority of the population, statistically speaking, thinks in words and concepts. And they're listening to the words I'm saying right now. Okay. The third is pictures, images, and vision. So when I say apple, you picture an apple. Okay. But you also understand the concept of an apple, and then numbers is one apple. And then the fourth one is vibe, energy, and intuition. Women tend to be better at this one than men. We all have all 4. but we have one really good one and one really, really bad one. And that dictates the way we communicate with ourselves and the world. Long story long here. My really good one is math, statistics, rationality, numbers, formulas, equations. That's my really good one. That's John's, the Sioux name John's. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. That's his as well. My really bad one is vibe, energy, and intuition. So we all have all four, but we have one really good one, one really bad one. I'm getting to the point. I realized that Udit is brilliant. Damn, I said his name. It is what it is. Okay, it's just a first name, no big deal. Udit was brilliant. It's okay. He doesn't care. But I had a moment where I said, brother, you have to partner with someone like me or someone like Kevin. Because English is not your first language, and English is the language of business globally, whether you like it or not. And I'm not saying that as an American, I'm just saying that in general, okay?
Yeah.
And your first language is not English, and you're not a strong communicator. So he said, Alan, I need help. Please help me communicate better. And so I created this list. I call them the 25 impact points of effective communication. It was just in a desire to help Udit. But I eventually realized no matter how how hard he tries, he's brilliant. His ideas are going to die on the vine if he doesn't find someone who can communicate effectively. So I used to think I was a strong communicator. I now realize I'm a strong communicator to engineers. My business partner, Kevin, is a really good communicator. We would go give the same speech. Mine, I thought was better. Everyone would love him and hate me. Okay. And it turns out it's because he thinks the way other people think. I don't. I'm long-term, 40, 50 years out, reverse engineer, numbers, mathematics, statistics, everything's numbers for me. So I had to get really good at communicating in the modality that other people think in.
Another point I think I got from your points there was that as an entrepreneur, you need to have a good team. You need to have people that will complement you in areas where you're not very good at, which is something I've heard from a lot of the guests here have sort of mentioned that. So that's an important point, I think.
I always say make sure your yin is yanging.
Yeah.
And make sure your yang is yinning. Yeah. So Kevin and I have complementary skill sets, but we have similar core values and similar core aspirations. So similar goals, similar values, complementary skill sets. And leadership is the most important skill, which is how do you influence other people by speaking in the language they speak? And that's really, really hard to do. I mean, my natural is to just talk numbers and global economy and science, technology, engineering, mathematics, business, and finance, but everyone shuts off immediately.
Yeah, so true. You're not leading a global team. You have people around you now working with you. What is your secret to building a productive, hard-driven, high-performance team that actually scales?
Number one is leadership. You have to study it, you have to learn it, you have to practice it, you have to teach it. You have to live and breathe leadership. You have to understand what it is, leading by example, who you are and what you are when no one's watching. So that's by far number one. If you can't influence other people, it doesn't matter what you do. The second piece is what I already told you, which is complementary skill sets and common goals and common core values. So my team all shares similar core values. The core values of our company is humility, work ethic, and personal development. Humility, work ethic, and personal development. Now, I know I don't come off as the most humble person. Inward humility, meaning we read books every day, we learn every day, we show up every day. Humility, work ethic, and personal development. What I had to learn the hard way is that no matter what I do, if I have someone on my team who is entitled and who wants big rewards for minimal effort, they're never going to get along with me. For me, my dad died at 2, my stepdad left at 14. I had to earn everything, every dollar. And if you want big rewards for minimal effort, you're not going to like me at all. I'm the ultimate try-hard. I'm always striving, never arriving. And Kevin's the same way. He grew up without a dad, started from nothing. Like, we just have that in us. We're never, ever going to arrive. I'm not going to talk from some mountaintop of look how successful I am. We're at the very beginning. Let's rock and roll. So the core value piece is if you don't have high humility, high work ethic, and high personal development, I won't work with that person on my team. We can be acquaintances, but we can't be close friends. And we can't certainly be on the same team. And so but they have to have complementary skill sets. We can't have a bunch of Allens or a bunch of Kevins. We need creatives and engineers. We need people that have different.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely fantastic points there. So in terms of, there's a lot of misconceptions, right, in business, profit making, all these things. What's the biggest misconception that people have about building a profitable and impactful business?
I think the biggest misconception is the idea that you can build a successful business with minimal effort. In the 21st century, there's a lot of that going around, and I just think it's wildly inaccurate. So I actually respect Tim Ferriss's work a lot. I have several of his books behind me, but the 4-Hour Work Week is a very dishonest title. There is no 4-hour work week for a successful business. And that includes, Tim. Tim worked his face off for many, many, many years, more than a decade. And he still kind of does, to be honest. And I'm not friends with him. I don't know him, but I've studied his work a lot. And that dude's not working 4 hours a week. That I can promise you. At the end of the day, people say, well, I want to start a business so I have more free time. And I say that's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my entire life. So I say this because I want to show that I'm leading by example. I have an 18-person team. We have over 2,000 episodes. We have grossed well over $1 million. I'm very proud and I'm grateful, okay? But I also haven't taken a single day off in 10 years, all right? So I work every single day. Sometimes it's 1 hour. Sometimes it's 18 hours. Yesterday was a heavy one. And usually it's in between. I try to shoot for around 10 hours a day. And I do 7 days a week, okay? Now, that doesn't mean that I don't have any time where I'm behind the scenes. So Monday through Saturday is front-facing, coaching, training, podcasting, and then Sunday is what I call my back office day. My girlfriend and I own 3 businesses between the two of us, future wife. We are builders. We're strivers. We work really hard. We're achievers. And the truth is we wouldn't be fulfilled otherwise. We like to build a little something every day. I always say build the self, build the family, build the business every day. Build the self, build the family, build the business. Doesn't mean you work 12 hours every day. It means you work on something every day, right? And so the reason I share that is because I think that's the biggest misconception is that you can build successful businesses without a lot of work. And it's just horseshit.
Honestly, that is a great point. And there's a lot of them, I've had people come and mention a lot of other points but I like that you picked that one because the simple example and the simple reason why that is true. When you watch shows like Shark Tank or Dragon's Den or some of these shows where people are coming to look for investment, you notice that the big dogs there looking for usually they wouldn't normally commit to investing in somebody who is not giving their full time to that business. Some people want to go and have this job, then I'm doing this on the side and just making a little bit of money. They're skeptical normally, but so really invest in those people. They see it as that they are not serious. Yeah, that's absolutely that's a good point.
One more quick thing. The other misconception is that everybody should start a business. That's a terrible idea. The truth is you have to be wired a certain way in order to be successful in business. So last I researched this, there's 137,000 new online businesses every day, globally, every day. And you're competing with every one of those people. And so the hard truth, and again, don't villainize me for this, but the hard truth is that the majority of people are not going to build successful businesses. And I think it's arrogant to think that you can do that with 4 hours a week.
Yeah, and the statistics back that up, I think. Most businesses fail. I think the last I checked, about more than 50%, more than 70% of businesses fail in the first 2 years. So yeah, that's I'm not sure you're hot in any, but that that's your fact.
That's why I love statistics. The data is really important, right? Versus these anecdotes of you should chase your passion. No, I think if you have a great job and you like life, if you like lifestyle and you like quality of life and you like nice things, do not start a business. Yeah. Because you're going to lose all of those things.
I know a couple of people who have started something, and they just don't have the time for it. And as an accountant myself, I'm a chartered accountant. We didn't have time to sort of introduce ourselves properly in the beginning, but sometimes you're looking at people, you ask them a few questions, when I do my job with my friend, he asked me a few questions as to their lifestyle. When you try to juxtapose it with the business that they're doing, you already know that it's not going to work.
Yeah.
You know,
You have an accounting background? You do accounting?
yeah. I'm an accountant.
Okay, yeah. So you see the numbers. Yeah, all right. Yeah. So there's a big difference between a business and a successful business.
Yeah, yeah, it takes a lot, really takes a lot, and thanks for putting that out there because you could have come here and said something that was interesting for people to everyone, but it's always good to leave out those facts there so that people know that it is real. Just keep it real.
Yeah, because you're setting someone up for failure if you make it
Mm.
seem easy. Business is atrociously difficult, and if you think it's going to be easy, you're going to learn very quickly that you're going to lose. And I don't want to see people set up for failure.
Yeah, yeah. Let's move on. We haven't got a lot of time today. Let's move on to peak performance and optimization, which is something that you're into. So
Hmm.
what does peak performance really mean to you, and why do so many people get it wrong?
Okay, yeah. So peak performance is the optimal stopping problem. And for anyone who doesn't know what that means, there's a great book called Algorithms to Live By that is a computer scientist's approach to decision making. And essentially, the example that I use that I think is everyone's experienced is you put the nachos in too long, the microwave, 3.5 minutes, they burn. You put them in for 30 seconds, they're gross because the cheese isn't melted. So there's an optimal peak moment where the cheese is melted enough but not burnt. That is peak performance. People always say, well, do the right thing. Aristotle used to talk about doing the right thing in the right way, at the right time, in the right amount, with the right people, for the right reason. The truth is, we're all making terrible choices all the time. We just don't know it. There is no one optimal chess move. There is theoretically, but it's not a chess game. So if you study chaos theory or constraint theory or game theory, you start to learn, okay, so every decision I make is trying to get on the high end of statistical success. So you have to try your best to make the best decision, knowing there is no one best decision because there's always a percent error. And so in life, especially in business, because it's built on perception and economics, it's very hard to calculate the exact chess move. So that's what peak performance and optimization is about, is what are you optimizing for? So for me right now, am I talking a little too long-winded? Have people shut off yet? Do I need to shut my mouth or do I keep going? At all times, you have to be constantly calculating what the optimal stopping problem is for every moment of every day. And that's really exhausting for people.
Yeah, brilliant, brilliant. Again, let's talk about something you mention all the time. You always talk about alignment versus overwhelm. How do you know when you're in that sweet spot?
Fulfillment. If you are fulfilled, you are aligned. Doesn't mean your life's easy. Actually, it usually means your life is way more challenging. So I think the world's biggest lie is that success makes life easier. When you get into the NFL, your life isn't easier.
Yeah.
Now you have to play against the best players on the planet. And if you get injured, you're screwed. So I think that, so we have Next Level University. That's the name of our podcast. Everything's next level. I care more about the next level than the current level. But it's a mountain that gets higher as you climb it. It's not like there's an end state. There's no, you're never going to reach, oh, okay, I'm at my potential. I'm good now. So to me, the next level is about making life harder, not easier. It gets easier in certain ways, right? So I have nice shirts on. I have a nice, beautiful condo I live in. We have a condo complex. We have housekeepers and we have, HOA fees. So they do landscaping and I'm very grateful. Okay. I'm very, very grateful. But my life's not easier. Certain aspects of my life are easier. Because growing up, we didn't have any of that when my stepdad left. I started from, we were shopping at Salvation Army. I got free lunch at school because our income was so low. My stepdad took 95% of the income when he left. So I went from boats and ski trips when he was around to free lunch at school. And I don't know how I'm going to go to college because I can't afford it. And so, yes, life is easier in the sense that they have a better life, but it's not easy to run an 18-person team. And between Next Level University, Conscious Couples Podcast, and Business Growth University, I do 9 episodes a week. So my point to answer your question is life does not get easier. You handle hard better. And I don't think the purpose of life is to make life easier. I think the purpose of life, if you want to maximize your potential, that's a big if, is to to grow and contribute. And you can't grow and contribute unless you are seeking goals that are above your current capabilities. I went into business knowing that it would be really difficult, and I wanted to see what I could do. And I think that work harder on yourself than anything else you do, and set meaningful goals that are above your current capabilities so that you can grow into them. And I think fulfillment is a byproduct of alignment. And alignment is the high road. Alignment is your highest self saying, come on, Chucks, you got this. Come on, Chucks, get off your butt and do this. We all have a highest self talking to us, but we're not always listening. I started listening after my car accident. My highest self is saying, get off your butt, Alan, and get this done because you know you're better than this.
Yeah. So that basically then that old saying, if your dreams don't scare you, then they're not good enough.
Well, I think all of our dreams should scare us at least a little.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Does it, just off topic a bit, does it scare you how much lies, right, that is out there in the world in terms of to kids, to young people, there's a lot of, when you switch on the TVs on something, it's not things that are not actually how the real world is. The real world is tough, and we know it as adults now. But there's a lot of, you can just get make it seem easy and fun and good and nice. Does that bother you at all?
Chucks, you and I are kindred spirits in a way, even though you don't necessarily know it, maybe consciously. So you grew up in a country that was far, far harder to succeed in than mine. The United States is the largest economy by far. It's actually not even close if you look at the statistics. And a lot of people see that, and I look like someone who was born with a silver spoon. I look like someone who started off on third base, and I often joke, I say I couldn't even see the ballpark. The truth of the matter is my childhood was all adversity. There was some really good things too, but most of it was just massive adversity. And I actually think that made me stronger, and I think it made me smarter, and I think it made me more humble, and I think it's become an advantage. I also realize that that's not the case for everybody. If you don't have high self-efficacy, self-belief is the common term, but if you study the research of the psychology, it's self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is your unconscious and subconscious belief in your own ability to figure things out and to succeed. And if you have high self-efficacy, adversity will actually make you stronger and smarter and more capable. But if you don't have high self-efficacy, you're going to turn to a bottle or turn to an escape or turn to Netflix or whatever. Yes, it scares the hell out of me. I think that there is a real injustice happening in the world where we are constantly telling people they can get rich and smarter with very little effort, and it's not true at all. And I think that if you cannot control your focus and if you cannot shut off the noise and turn off the TikTok mental candy, I think you're in a lot of trouble, and I think your future's going to be potentially very hard on you because you're not making the present meaningful. The way I see it is, if you can't control your focus and control your attention and get mentors who are honest with you, you're in some serious trouble. That's actually one of the main reasons I do what I do, because I see how scary it is to have people online that are successful telling you it's easy, when in reality, the only reason they're telling you that is so they can monetize it.
Exactly. Yeah, bro, like some interesting words out there from you, man. Wisdom. Yeah, some great wisdom here from Alan Lazaros. Guys, if you have any questions for Alan, don't forget the comment section is open to you. Pop your questions in, and I'll make sure that I get these questions across to him. Also, check out his website just before we check out nextleveluniverse.com and tune into the Next Level University podcast for more powerful conversations just like this one. So just moving on, you make a strong distinction between happiness and fulfillment. Can you break that down for us?
Happiness is sort of esoteric, and I don't feel like we ever really understood it. It's like the pursuit of happiness. Yeah, okay. Happiness, what is it? Am I happy? I don't know if it's the right thing to optimize for, because it's too fleeting. You can be really happy one day and then really sad the next. Fulfillment is the thing that I think can last. And I think fulfillment comes from meaningful growth and contribution and meaningful work. I don't think you're ever going to be fulfilled unless you're doing something in alignment with your own unique potential for others. And you can make that profitable if you stick with it. And I think that passion into purpose into profit is the way. So passion is something you're obsessed with. So for me, I have 3. I am obsessed with fitness. I am obsessed with personal development, in case you couldn't tell. And I'm obsessed with business. And that's my passion. My purpose is to help people with fitness, personal development, and business. And my profit is a byproduct of taking my passion and doing my purpose. And so that's what I do through the vehicles of coaching, training, and podcasting. Coaching is one-to-one. Training is one-to-several. Podcasting is one-to-scale. Those are the vehicles where I deploy my passion into purpose and to profit. And so everything's a formula for me. And I just help people reach their potential and build meaningful careers and businesses that actually fulfill them. So fulfillment, I think, is the byproduct that comes from meaningful pursuits toward meaningful goals in alignment with your highest self. And I think that's way better than happiness.
Yeah. That is a great way to break those down there. I mean, I wonder what what would be happening at that next level podcast. Guys, I'm definitely going to check it out. And I encourage everyone to check that podcast out and all the other ones. All the links are going to be in the description below. So how can someone tell if a version of success is truly theirs or just borrowed from society, family, or social media?
Fulfillment. If someone is, so the 2 best teachers in life are fulfillment and regret, I think. So after the car accident, I had a lot of regret. That's how I knew that I had taken a path that wasn't fully mine. And now that I'm on my path that is mine, I'm more fulfilled. Even though it's scarier, even though it's harder, even though a lot less people like me.
Yeah.
I'm joking. People from my past. You're winning when the people from your past like you less than the people in your future. And that's an interesting little anecdote is, remember the give up to grow up thing, the you have to be willing to lose in order to play to win. I lost a lot of friends. I lost a lot of relationships. I had to let go of a lot of people from my past because I needed to align with my highest self. Yeah, and so fulfillment and regret are the best teachers. That's how you know. If you're filled with regret, you took a path that wasn't yours. If you have a lot of fulfillment, keep going, baby. You're rocking and rolling. And it's not a 1 or a 0. It's 0 to 10. How fulfilled are you? If it's an 8, that means there's still work to do. It's an asymptote. You never actually get there. An asymptote is a mathematical concept where you get closer and closer and closer to 10, but you never get to 10. So maybe I'm 9.9 level fulfilled, and I'll be 9.91 tomorrow, and then 9.92. So it's a mountain that gets higher as you climb it.
You've reached millions through your podcast. What is the one message you hope that every listener today takes away from your work?
Yeah.
One message.
It's your fulfillment and your life, your potential. No one else really cares that much about. That's been alarming for me. The more fulfilled I became and the more virtuous I became and the more I took the high road and the more I quit drinking and quit drugs and quit pornography and just started being the best man I could be, the less friends I had. So it's almost like the more I aligned with self-respect, the less liked I was. And so it's really alarming that that's the case. I have a lot of respect, I think, but I'm not a very liked person. And back when I didn't have a lot of self-respect, I was very liked. And so I think you have to choose. So that's what I would end with, which is the more I liked myself, the less I was liked by others. And I think that there's something to that.
Alan, I'm going to give you opportunity to tell the people listening if there's any events coming up, if there's anything that you want people to know about, here is the opportunity for you to tell us.
We have a charity event coming up, but that's local, so it's called the Next Level Hope Foundation. It's for boys who grew up without fathers, really any girls of single parents, anyone with single parents, essentially, because Kevin and I both were born and raised with single parents. But in terms of where you can find me and reaching out, anyone who has a question, wants to reach out. If you have high humility, high work ethic, and you want to reach your potential, reach out, please. I would love to work with you. Check us out. We got a lot of free stuff. We got a lot of paid stuff. nextleveluniverse.com, Next Level University podcast. And thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Alan. It's been a pleasure having you on the podcast today. Thanks for coming on. Really do appreciate your time, your authenticity, strategy, and heart. Your story is a reminder that life doesn't change when the world does. It changes when we decide to. And if this episode helped shift your mindset, make sure to like, subscribe, and drop a comment for Alan in the comment section below. What's one area of your life you're ready to take to the next level? Let us know. What is one area that you're ready to take to the next level? This is the Curious Tycoon Podcast. Guys, stay driven, stay curious, and keep leveling up. Until next time, take care, goodbye, and God bless. Bye.